We continue now at the top of Daf Yomi Gemara with Meseches Yoma. This is Yoma Daf 17b. The Gemara was discussing the Beis Hamoked Hagadol and the four chambers that were in the corners around the Beis Hamoked Hagadol. And the Gemara specifically was discussing the Lishkas Beis Hatzloim. The Gemara wanted to know whether it's more towards the southwest or more towards the northwest corner. So the Gemara here is trying to prove that it is more towards the southwest corner, that all Mishnayos would agree that that is the direction that it is. And the proof is from what Rav Huna B'Reder Rav Yoshua said regarding a contradiction between one of the other Lishkos, specifically referring to the Lishka of the Lechem Aponim, and the Gemara now explains. If you say correctly that the Lishkas Beis Hatzloim was more towards the southwest than the northwest, then the answer of Huna B'Reder Rav Yoshua gives regarding the Lechem Haponim will make sense. But if you're going to say that the Lishkas Beis Hatzloim was more towards the northwest, in the end, the answer of Rav Huna B'Reder Rav Yoshua gives by the Lechem Haponim is not going to make any sense, and Rashi over here will explain. Rashi says, so in the Mishnayos and Talmud, it says that the Lishkas Hatzloim was in the northwest. And we said that just depends on your perspective where you're coming from. Really, it was very long along the west, and it appeared to be at the northwest. But even the Tana in Meseches Talmud, Modi, he admits, that Tana admits, that it was more towards the southwest than the northwest. Then that will make sense. It's just that Mishnah in Talmud was saying according to the appearance that someone who comes from the south, it's going to look like it's in the north, but in reality it's more in the southwest than it is in the northwest. But in reality, this Mishnah in Talmud, now the Mishnah in Talmud doesn't make it clear where the other Lishkos are at all. It's not clear what direction that Mishnah is going in. So what that Mishnah means to say is as follows. You start from the southwest corner and you say as follows. Then it's going to make sense what's going on with the Lechem Aponim. Lios bedromis mizrachis, that really the Lechem Aponim is in the southeast. Kedektani v'midos, like it says explicitly in Midos. There's not going to be any contradiction. Ketzad, how so? Lishkas Hatzloim bedromis ma'aravis. You start from the Lishkas Hatzloim and you start off in the southwest corner. So you start off over here in the southwest corner. And then you go as follows: Lishkas hachosamos ki azlas derech smol. In this Mishnah in Talmud, they're now going towards the left. So if you start off in the southwest corner facing this way and you go left, the next place you're going to get is in the northwest. So therefore, Lishkas hachosamos. Okay, so again, Lishkas hatzlaim bedromis ma'aravis. Lishkas hachosamos ki azlas derech smol b'ma'aravis sfonis. The Mishnah Meseches Talmud is starting to move you in that left direction towards the northwest. So you go from here to here, then you're going to go up to here, then you're going to go to here. That's the Mishnah in Talmud. So again, Ma'aravis Sfonis, Lishkas Beis Hamoked, Sfonis Mizrachis. The Beis Hamoked is going to be in the northeast, again, right over there. And Lishkas Lechem Aponim, Mizrachis Jeromis. The Lishkas Lechem Aponim is going to be in the southeast, right over here. And that resolves the contradiction because, again, that's exactly where the Lishkas Lechem Aponim was in Meseches Midos. It's in the southeast. That's what Rav Huna B'Reder Rav Yoshua was saying. Rav Huna B'Reder Rav Yoshua was saying that in the Mishnah in Talmud, you're going to the left, meaning you start at this corner, and if you're facing this corner and go to the left, you go this way, and then you just go all the way around. That will all make sense. But that's all dependent on the fact that the Lishkas Hatzloim is over here, because we're starting by the Lishkas Hatzloim. We're starting in the southwest, so that will all make sense. But if you say that Mishnah in Talmud, which used the language of northwest, in other words, if you would take it literally, the Lishkas Hatzloim would be more over here, like it is in this picture. It would be more towards this side. If you're going to take that literally, and it's not just from perspective, but it actually was more towards the northwest. So then, my lechem haponim, you haven't helped anything by the lechem haponim. Ki mani derech smol have a lishkas lechem haponim bedromis ma'arav. If you start from over here and you go up to the left, meaning you're going to go here, here, and then here, comes out the Lechem Haponim is in the southwest. And then you have a contradiction in terms of the Lechem Haponim, because again, in Meseches Midos, that's not where the Lechem Haponim was, it was in the southeast. So you'd have a contradiction. That's what he means to say. Lefi Minyano. So that's why it has to be that Rav Huna B'Reder Rav Yoshua is assuming that the Lishkas Hatzloim is more along the southwest not in the northwest. That's what the Gemara is basically saying. That's exactly what it means. Sof, my teirutza lechem aponim. If you said it was northwest, yamrit tzfonis ma'aravis, if you said it was northwest, then you haven't answered the lechem aponim at all. So you see that really it is ma'aravis dromis. Really, when it comes to the Lishkas Beis Hatzalim, it's really in the southwest. Shema Mino, the Gemara says that is a good proof. So the Gemara says, 1 second, just stam a question in Rav Huna Breder Rav Yoshua. How could you say the Mishnah in Talmud is turning to the left? Amar Mar, didn't the master say, Kalpino shatapona lo yu ala derech yamin? Anytime you take a turn, it should be to the right. Derech yamin lemizrach, it should be to the right. So why is he taking a turn to the left? In other words, if you start over here, we say the turn goes to the left. Why would we turn to the left? You should automatically turn to the right. That's what all pinos should be in the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara says, no, hani mili ba'avoda. That's when you're doing service. Aval hacha chushbin abialmo. Here, the Mishnah in Talmud is just being a cheshbon where all the lishkos are. It could be going in any direction. It could be counting from here, going around this way. It could be here, going around this way. You don't know necessarily for sure one way or the other. There's no rule that the Mishnah has to be counting derech yamin. And the Gemara continues that the two dots, quoting the Mishnah said, Shekohen Gadol makriv chelik barosh. The Kohen Gadol has the first opportunity to bring karbanos in the Beis HaMikdash. V'notel chelik barosh. He also has the first opportunity to take from the karbanos in the Beis HaMikdash. So what does that mean? So the Gemara says, Taner Rabbanan, we learned in a brayso as follows. Keitzad makriv chelik barosh. How is it that the Kohen Gadol has the first opportunity when it comes to bringing karbanos? Omer, the Kohen Gadol can say, Ola zu ani makriv, I want to bring this carbon ola. Mincha zu ani makriv, I want to bring this carbon mincha. Keitzad notel chelik barosh. And what does it mean when he says he can take the portion first? He gets to take from the karbanos for himself first. Omer chatos zu ani ochel. He can say, I want to eat this carbon chatos. Asham ze ani ochel, I want to eat this carbon asham. V'notel chala mishtei chalos. Also, when it comes to the two chalos that are brought, the shtei alechem that are brought on Shavuos, on Atzeres, he can take one challah from those two chalos. Arba o chamesh mimaisa lechem aponim, and he can take 4 or 5 each Shabbos from the lechem aponim. Now there were 12 lechem aponim, but as we're going to see later, they distributed 10. He's taking 4 or 5 of the 10. Rebbe Omer, Rebbe says liolam chamesh. He always has to take 5 from the lechem aponim. Shenemar, because the pasuk says v'hoisa li'Aaron u'levanov. It says it will be for Aaron and his children. This is a pasuk by the lechem aponim. Mechza li'Aaron u'mechza lebanov. Half go to Aaron, half go to his children. Rashi says v'yaf pishen shnei masar. Even though there are really 12 of them, yesh ben shtei chalos she'enan mischalkos kin mefarish v'azal. As we'll say later on, there are 2 chalos that aren't divided up. So therefore, 50% goes to Aaron, 50 goes to his children. So that's why the Kohen Gadol can take 5, and the other Kohanim can take 5. So the Gemara says Hagufa Kasha. This brayso itself is internally contradictory. Amrit notel chala achas mishtei chalos. First, the brayso starts off and says takes 1 chala from the 2 chalos of the shtei halechem on Shavuos. So Mani Rebbe, who does that follow? That seems to follow Rebbe. Diamar palga shakel, because Rebbe said he always takes 5, meaning he always takes half. You're taking 1 of the shtei halechem. So Ema Mitziyasa. So let's take a look at the middle of the brayso. Arba o chamish. Then it suddenly says you take 4 or 5 from the lechem aponim, imaisa lechem aponim, from the lechem aponim, asayin l'rabbanan. That goes according to the Rabbanan, Diamri lo shakel palga, who says he doesn't take half. Rashi says, asayin l'rabbanan, Diamri lo shakel palga. The shakel palga, batzer mechamish lo shakel. It must be following the Rabbanan, because if you followed Rebbe that you take half, you should always take 5. You shouldn't take 4 or 5 from the lechem aponim. You should always take 5. So therefore, started off, it's Rebbe, and then the brayso moves to the Rabbanan, that again, that you don't take. Asan l'Rabbanan, damri lo shakel palga, ema seifa. Now take a look at the end of the brayso. Rebbe Omer liolam chamish. Rebbe says you have to take 5 from the lechem aponim. So Reisha v'seifa Rebbe mitziyasa Rabbanan, it comes out, the beginning and the end of the brayso are Rebbe, and the middle is the Rabbanan. Doesn't make any sense. And so the Gemara answers, Amar Abaya, Abaya says, Reisha mitziyasa Rabbanan. Really, the beginning and the middle are the Rabbanan, meaning even in the beginning when it talks about the shtei halechem and it says you take 1 of the 2, that follows the Rabbanan as well. But the Rabbanan admit you can't take part of a piece of bread. It's not proper derech eretz to give that to the Kohen Gadol. Rashi says, Reishu mitziyasa Rabbanan damri lo shakel palga. You don't take half. Elabatzer mi palga, take less than half. With the kasha lachala, the shtei lechem, the shakel la kula, but your kasha is by the shtei halechem. Why is the Kohen Gadol taking an entire 1 of the 2 shtei halechems? Sounds like you're taking 50%. Modu Rabbanan, no, because there the Rabbanan admit the lav orachara that it's not proper derech eretz lemifrase to break the piece of bread or lemesa prusa lekohen gadol, and to give a broken piece of bread to the kohen gadol. So in that particular case, he is going to take 50% by default, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yomi Gemara Amud Aleph.